Today, I want to talk about why our deaths are the entertainment for white supremacist society. As you guys probably all know, so-called comedian Ari Shaffirr, if that's how you pronounce that piece of shit's name, his shows have been canceled, as well as his agency dropped him for his inflammatory comments about the death of late NBA star and our brother Kobe Bryant. I'm not going to talk too much, say too much about him, Ari Shaffirr specifically, because what needed to be said about him has probably already been said. But I am going to talk about some of the trolls and some of the scumbags that I've seen on social media who have been defending this guy. And it's occurred to me that our demise, our death, our suffering, our pain is entertainment for the dominant society. They revel in that. They enjoy that. And many of them have been making up excuses for why this guy said specifically what he said. I've been seeing individuals on suspected white supremacists and coons who have gone out their way to actually try to defend this guy and say, well, he's trying to be an edgy comedian. He's edgy. There shouldn't be any kind of stamp or anything on comedy. What he did wasn't racially motivated. He was telling a sports joke because people know that he hates the Lakers. Well, my problem that I have with what he said basically is this, is that if this was a sports joke, if it was intended to be a joke, then how come there's no setup, there's no punchline? If you watch that video, all he implemented was vitriolic, hateful, spiteful diatribe combined with the Joker-like laughter as he set up and ridiculed the death of one of the NBA's greatest basketball players ever. That's what he did. There was no joke involved in that. That was just flat out mean-spirited laughter and glee and the pain and suffering of someone who's dear to a lot of people and who also lost his 13-year-old daughter, excuse me. But this is exactly what they do. This is exactly what the dominant society does. And you sit up and you had individuals on social media who try to play dumb and act like what he said wasn't racially motivated. There was no racism involved to it. I had this idiot who stood up and said to me that, how can you equate this to being racism? There was no racism involved in this. How can you equate it? He's advocating for rape victims. And of course, I had to pivot and say to him, well, if he's such an advocate for rape victims, how is it, as I've gone on to social media, I don't see any comments involving Harvey Weinstein. I don't see any comments involving Kevin Spacey. I don't see any comments involving Bryan Singer, Roman Polanski, Woody Allen, yada, yada, yada. I can sit up and talk about all those people. He never said a damn thing about any of them. The only person I see him attacking is a dead black man who he wished he could be more famous. He wish he could be as famous as. And let's be real about this. This guy, this Ari Shaffirr character, was doing all this because he's clout chasing. He's trying to get on the level of Kobe Bryant or Kevin Hart for that matter. Because this guy who I talked to, the so-called comedian, and I expressed the fact that I'd never heard of him. I'd never heard of this guy before. And he said to me, well, that shows how much you know about comedy, the fact that you don't know anything about this guy. And my response was, well, you just proved my point, because Kobe Bryant, if you don't watch basketball, you still know who he is. Kevin Hart, I would even dare say, if you're not into comedy, you know who he is. You know who Ari Shaffirr is if you're a member of the alt-right. That's the bottom line. So I got to do a Google search to know who Ari Shaffirr is. I don't need to do a Google search who Kevin Hart is, and most people don't. They know who Kevin Hart is just by his name. And I think that's the white fragility of individuals like this Ari Shaffirr, is the fact he has to do all of this extra shit. He has to go out of his way and ridicule people in death and try to defame them and try to make their names infamous just so he can sit up and raise his profile at a dead man's expense, no less. That shows how freaking pathetic he is. That shows how untalented he is. That shows how much how much jealousy and hatred he has in his heart. That he's a part of a society that's rigged the system in his favor, and he still can't get on top in the craft that he's participating in. And this is precisely why I'm saying what I'm saying, that our demise, our pain, our suffering is their laughter. And I'm not going to sit up and let some of these white supremacist scumbags get up online and try to talk circles around this whole ordeal. Because we know what's going on. They know what's going on. They know that he was talking in code. They know exactly that what he said was racially motivated, because if it wasn't, why is he targeting just Kobe Bryant? He hasn't targeted anybody that's white who has been accused of similar things. I mean, when Paul Walker passed away, and I'm not saying this to disparage Paul Walker, but when he died, there was an article that was written and it got buried that when he was in his 30s, he was dating a teenage girl of 16 years old. I believe he was 34 years old. Look all this up. No one ever talks about this. But yet, whenever black men get accused of any kind of sexual crime whatsoever, you're guilty even if you are proven innocent in a court of law. Even if it goes to trial, in terms of the dominant society, you're guilty. You're guilty until you're proven innocent. And if a white woman's involved in it, what she says counts, and what you say means absolutely nothing. We're back in freaking Jim Crow. This is, To Kill a Mockingbird 2.0 is what this is. This is what we're dealing with. But a lot of these folks are showing their nature. They're showing how much they really despise black excellence, that you got to sit up and you have to do a Google search or be a member of the Klan to know who Ari Shaffirr is. But Kobe Bryant, on the other hand, you know who he is, even if you don't speak English. You got people in China, you got people in Italy, you got people all over the world that are celebrating this man. And that shows how relevant he is and how irrelevant this Ari Shaffirr individual is. So I hope Ari Shaffirr as well, like I said, I hope he's not stupid enough to come back to LA, because I've heard the block is hot for him. I hope he's not dumb enough to come here, because even if he has bodyguards, some of these gangs out here have made it very clear that that's not going to help him. So if he's smart, I would say that he should keep himself out the city for at least a couple of years, probably about a good 5 years, and it should blow over. People might forget about all this, but until then, I don't think he should come over here. I think that he's made the block hot for himself, and he has no one to blame for that but himself. And I don't feel sorry for him. I really don't feel sorry for him. I don't. He brought it on himself. He went too far. So, but then again, that's probably how he always felt. How deep down this is what he always wanted to say, and he's letting the world know on no uncertain terms that this is what I really think about your black icons. So it has escaped my mind too that this guy is of the Arab persuasion, because I've noticed that I've seen a lot of Arab and specifically Jewish Israeli individuals that go out of their way to attack black celebrities, whether it's him, whether it's that female Arab comedian who attacked Tekashi ex-Tekashian when he was murdered, whether it be Sarah Silverman when she made that ridiculous joke about Martin Luther King, calling him Martin Loser King. And none of these people are funny. None of them are funny. They all had to do the same thing. In order for them to raise their profile, they have to attack more prolific black folks who are more relevant than they'll ever be. They have whole entire streets in a holiday after King. Sarah Silverman, once again, you got to do a Google search to know who the hell she is. and Don Rickles used to do the same thing when he was alive, Jewish. Jackie Mason, Bill Maher. Bill Maher he's always attacking black men. He went out of his way to attack Bill Cosby. Sitting up and saying, to me, he was never that funny. No, motherfucker, you're not funny. You're not funny. And once again, you're just a hater because nobody gives a shit about who you are. And in order for you to raise your profile, you have to attack people who are more infinitely more talented than you are. Specifically, those that happen to be black. All right? So this is what they do. But anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Please subscribe, like the channel, share this, and I will talk to you soon. And Ari Shaffirr, you can go eat a dick or die trying. Later.